Hare Krishna.
Hare Shrikar. Yuyam, yuyam, vayam. Vayam, yuyam, yuyam.
Let's see what happens in the course of the next few minutes, but we should begin because time is limited. At least according to the schedule, we're going to end at 12:30. Thank you all for still sticking around. Many people had to go. I missed the morning class because I was in China. Zoom in China. Nice topic. We completed the 24 gurus of the Avadhuta Raman. Nice topic. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu
Nityananda. Jayadvaita Gadadhar. Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
It's not my territory. It's your. I've been poaching on your territory the whole weekend. Come on. Yes.
Okay, we're going to just ask for people to raise their hands.
There's one there.
And then you can speak. I bet you've got a microphone. There's somebody raising their hand back there.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hari Parshad Prabhu, Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj. Akura's arrival to Vrindavan, to me, it's a very elevated subject, extremely high. And you explained so nicely his absorption. I'm wondering how to kind of bring it down, if you'd like to expand, to explore the application, this Leela for us, for many of us here. Are there lessons? How can we get into the application of this particular Leela?
Well, it seems to, because you're speaking on a topic the others can also address, but the anticipation of, no, preceding his anticipation of was prema bhakti. And the application is to achieve that we can follow his footsteps, and as he had a journey to Vrindavan, we have a journey to Krishna, and meditate on, anticipate that while we're doing this and doing that and the other thing and the other thing, on the course of our journey, meditate on the person, the object, according to our capacity, not some artificial way, but in principle. Now, it doesn't mention, but we certainly need to mention the guidance of Shastra and Guru and various acharyas to get to such an elevated stage. Before presenting this topic for this weekend, that want me to do this, huh? Okay.
Why don't you take it off?
Okay, that's great. That's a great idea. He's got an extra one. Look at that. Go ahead, give him the extra one. Preparation. Another application point, I was saying, that was always, before this weekend, that was always my meditation on this pastime, was the anticipation of. And with that anticipation, when there's the actual experience of feeling the closeness of Krishna, etc., then a natural, spiritually elevated at least, response, how Krishna is merciful. Another, the profound humility. The deity at Akuragat shows him with a beard. The indication, in other words, is he was elderly. He was elderly. So he had been through a lot. And he had a high position, despite his high position. Despite any position, high, medium, otherwise, leaving all that behind. Position, status, something, recognition by others. No, in his case, you don't have to worry about this, most likely. Anytime soon, anyways. A family. And the risk of his family by his stepping in the direction that he stepped in. But he felt protected. And his family would be protected. He lost all of that attachment, affinity program, and just so moving one's life in that direction. Your question is the practical application for us, although it's so high. So I'm touching on those points, trying. You're a thoughtful person. You probably have some thoughts on this topic, and that's why you're asking the question. I know you. Would you like to contribute something, the application part? He's got something. You want to say something? Application.
Application. Well, Hari Parshad Prabhu quoted earlier, Smartavyam Satatam Vishnu, Vismartavyam Najatu Chet. One should always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Prabhupada one time said we should never forget our real business, which is to become mad after Krishna. Another thing, Akrura, of course, got to meet Krishna personally in Vrindavan. So for us, we can meet Krishna personally in Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna is Vadamo Bhagate Dharma Gyana Adibisa Kalonashta Drishamesha Purnarko Dinodita. These are very high topics, but if we hear them, then we make progress, especially if we hear in the association of devotees, if we take advantage of the comments of Srila Prabhupada and Purvacharyas, other devotees, then we can anticipate, oh, I get to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And then Bhibata Bhagavatam, Rasamali. Everything is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. Every taste, every kind of nectar is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. So if we go on hearing, that's practical. Practical doesn't just mean GBC resolutions, temple president, Ishtagosti results. Those things may be needed, but this is practical, just to go on hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and then Krishna will help us. Priyantasto Yabhadrani Vidunati Suritada. Is that okay?
You got one already, too?
Yeah, I already have.
Yeah, okay. You like to contribute something here?
Yeah. The Bhagavatam is classified as a Puran, but also as a Kavya. It's poetry also. So in Kavya, there are two types of Kavya mentioned by the previous Acharyas. One is called as Drishya Kavya, that is poetry that is seen on stage drama. And second is Shravya Kavya, poetry that is heard and relished in the mind. So there are two types of kavyas according to previous acharyas: Drishya Kavya, Shravya Kavya. Srimad Bhagavatam belongs to the second category, Shravya Kavya. So then the very fourth verse of the Bhagavatam, it is said, Bhuvi Bhavuka. Be Bhavuk. Bhavuk means be emotionally moved by the narrations of the Bhagavatam, because Shravya Kavya or Drishya Kavya both can move the heart. So usually what one does is, in any pastime, one selects a character to empathize with. So in the pastime of Akrura, the stage is our heart. Akrura is the main character, and acting as somebody sahriday, like-minded to Akrura, we go on the journey with Akrura. And whatever Akrura is feeling, we feel empathy with Akrura. And in that way, we are able to relish from the rasa point of view. So sometimes the question asked is, how can we bring that to our level so that it is relevant to us? But the question should be on both levels. How can we bring ourselves to that level so that in that case also it becomes relevant to us? So we can bring it down to our level by seeing some practical lessons in Akrura's life. But at the same time, I believe it is more important to bring ourselves to that level gradually, which happens by Shravya Kavya. That is, by doing bhavana, by doing this like-mindedness with the main protagonist of the pastime. So, dear devotees, who is the main protagonist of our Akrura pastime? Akrura. So, I hope that answers your query to some degree of satisfaction.
Yes, thank you all so much. I think to me, it's also just keeping things in perspective as a glorification of this topic, that we don't take it lightly, that this is something, as Maharaj mentioned once, we can't mentally imagine what it would be like. So the hearing process and the intense seva sacrifice to one day receive that mercy, I think are beautiful aspects of this Leela. Thank you again so much. Hare Krishna.
I see several hands, but he's got the microphone. You decide. You decide. Don't ask us to decide.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hi, Krishna.
It was wonderful this whole weekend. And for me, one thing that really stood out was Akrura's confidence in Krishna. The confidence that even though he's going on a seemingly contradictory mission, he knew that Krishna would not hold that against him. He knew that Krishna would accept him. And at a very deep internal level, from the Lord to the devotee, that connection was always flowing, and that was very inspiring for me to just, to cultivate that kind of a confidence in our bhakti in the Lord, that, He always protects His devotees. And one other thing was this, the fact that there were glimpses in the presentations where Akrura thinks about, oh, will Krishna, I'm going as a messenger of an enemy, but he doesn't dwell on that. He kind of quickly moves over to how attractive Krishna is and how wonderful he is. And so I was thinking at my level that, I tend to dwell on material emotions. And sometimes that's like a whirlpool. There's no end to it. It just keeps going around in circles. So one big takeaway for me is always go to Krishna, like see the attractiveness of the Lord and move attention there, the consciousness to the pastimes of the Lord. And it really helps that Krishna is so attractive. And that really came out this weekend in all the classes, how attractive Krishna is. And so really absorption in Krishna is the key to transcending all these other challenges that devotees may face in their... so I just wanted to appreciate that and see if you have any more comments or anything. But thank you.
A comment is you're responding to his question. What your comment is one of the many responses to his question. Practical application.
Yeah.
And that's it says to me, it says something about you, but also the quality of your hearing. Nandi Mukhi has got her arms, ready to share, because she does this all the time. I mean, I'm accustomed to it. Those of you that aren't familiar with her being in the audience, you'll get accustomed to it after some time. And it's nice. I like. Yeah, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Hare Pasha Prabhu, Hare Krishna Maharaj, and Guru Maharaj. First of all, thank you for giving your association to us and give us this excellent exposition of Krishna's childhood pastime. And I can see you yourself perhaps as an excellent devotional poet. And
Here.
one thing I really appreciate about your slides is you give exact reference to each of the words you quote. And that's a very, extraordinary quality.
At least one.
Srila Prabhupada used to, I think he said to Maharaj that one should be like a lawyer. Like a lawyer. It was to you or somebody, like one should present Shastra. Like a lawyer presents a law book. So the Shastra is the law book, Prabhupada's books are the law book. So that's the method of presenting.
Thank you. I want to share two reflections and one question. The first reflection is when you, just last evening's class, when you talk about chapter 15 from Krishna's book, you quoted about 3-4 paragraphs describing when Krishna entering the forest of Vrindavan, he saw the scenes in nature in relation to praising Balaram.
Yeah.
And however, his feelings for gopis is uncontainable that he ends up quoting gopis twice,
Right.
just in that very short
Yeah.
statement. And I think this kind of interesting to me because I feel like in another place in the Bhagavatam, Gopi kind of did the similar thing, and that is the Venu Gita.
Yeah.
The gopis they also describe the scenes in nature in relation to the super excellence of Krishna's flute sound.
Wonderful.
And they also kind of try to hide their emotion for Krishna. They didn't refer to Krishna directly. They refer to like the cowherd boys and this and that. And also they said, they praise, they glorify the Govardhan. He is the best of all servants of Hari. I think it's just implicitly expressing how much they also want to serve Krishna in that incessantly and intimate way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also a person who is blinded by love sees the lover everywhere. So all the changes in the nature are attributed to the lover because they are blinded by love. So there is a phrase in Hindi, कि सावन के अंधे को सब हरा दिखता है. The person who went blind during the rainy season, for him all seasons are green because he went blind in the rainy season. So the last thing he saw was greenery. So somebody who went blind in Krishna Prem, everywhere they are seeing him. So,
Thank you. And then I think there's another interesting thing in that chapter 15, which you quote. I noticed there's a sentence says both Krishna and Balaram play flutes, plural.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice this before because my impression is flute playing is one of the four qualities that make Krishna unique.
yeah,
And now Balaram also play flute. Interesting.
yeah. And the eternal quality of Krishna is flute play. Occasional quality of Balram is flute play. So that way our Bhagwan doesn't lose his specialty. So that way.
Thank you. And my question is more related to your class the other day, where you quote a verse from Laghu Bhagavatamrita, where Srila Rupa Goswami said, Goloka is by bhava of Gokula,
Yeah.
the opulence aspect of Gokula.
Not opulence aspect, it's a partial manifestation of the entire entirety of Gokula.
Right. Thank you for that. And I think so. That kind of implies that Gokula is the highest and
Yeah.
the original.
Yeah.
From my reading of the Srimad Brahma Samhita, I think Gokula is also mentioned there in the second verse, where Gokula is described as a spiritual abode manifested by an amsha of Ananta. And I think in the purport, a point was made that Gokula and Goloka are non-different.
Yeah.
And later on in Brahma Samhita, in later verses, it's kind of very clear that Goloka is the highest and the original. So I'm just thinking like these two different camps, can I say that they both have their validity in their perspective, but not necessarily contradict each other?
Yeah. Yeah, both these have their validity. The speaker of Brahma Samhita is Sri Brahma himself, and he is absorbed in that mood of Aishwarya. So he sees Goloka as the topmost, whereas Laghu Bhagavatamritam, Sri Rupa Goswami, he sees Gokul as the sweetest place, because it is in Gokul that Bhagwan experiences first love. That first love is very special. And all the activities that happen around the first love are very, very special. Krishna's failures in love are seen in that particular time. So, for Sri Rupa Goswami, Jai Ho. Jai Shri Radha Damodar Bhagwan ki Jai. Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai. So, it's a very special time because Bhagwan gets to experience that again and again, that falling in love for the first time, that glancing at Sri Radha for the first time, those first exchange of the crooked sidelong glances, those first anticipations of meeting, the initial separation, which is called Purvarag. All those things are experienced when Bhagwan is growing up. So that makes it very special. Gokul is very special. And it is untouched by material energy, so it's the same as Goloka. But that's the reason why both are sometimes mentioned as equal to each other. But from a rasa point of view, there is greater variety to be had in Gokula. So I hope that answer satisfies your query. But if Maharaj would like to add something, then please feel free.
I'm good. Give the microphone behind you, that gentleman that's been raising his hand.
Vijay Narasimha Prabhu, Hari Bol.
Thank you, Maharaj, for this wonderful experience and this wonderful weekend that we've all had. Thank you, Jayadvaita Maharaj.
Apology
your
for the
presence.
rain. What can we do?
Well, the sun is out now, so.
Yeah, the sun's out.
And thank you, Hari Parshad Prabhu. I have two questions for the panel. One is a simpler one and one a little bit more controversial, so I'll go with the easy one first.
Good.
Easy one to me, controversial one to Maharaj.
So yesterday and over the past 2-3 days, we've discussed about killing of the demons by Lord Krishna and how they get liberated. And I've had, and I'm sure others have also had the question or the doubt of these demons being liberated while we are not. Can you clarify a little bit about the liberation that these demons get versus a liberation of a pure devotee in that sense?
Maharaj.
You're on. You're on. You're on. It's on.
I'm on. Okay. The liberation. I was just hearing Prabhupada was saying in regard to the death of Kamsa that generally the demons killed by Krishna get Sayuja Mukti and sometimes Sarupya. This question becomes the subject matter of the second part of Brihad Bhagavatamrita, where Uttara asks that there's got to be something better if even the demons get liberated and they go to the spiritual world. And what about devotees like Yashoda Mai and others? There's got to be something better for them. They can't just get the same destination that the demons get. And that's, of course, elaborated the whole picture of the spiritual planets and especially Goloka Vrindavan. So that, yes, the devotees get the personal association of Krishna. The demons generally get merged with the impersonal effulgence. Oh, and Krishna's independent, so he can give any kind of liberation to anyone. That's also his prerogative. But generally, yayata mam prapadyante, the demons get impersonal.
Thank you, Maharaj, for that. My second one is related to what we talked about yesterday, and Maharaj mentioned that we should probably stop this, otherwise the ping pong ball is going to keep going left and right. And clearly from that, we understand that there are many doubts or question marks on everyone's understanding because of which the ping pong ball is going back and forth. Is there a way to explain or summarize so that our small minds can understand to a level where we can explain it to others on what that means when we say Krishna never left Vrindavan, but yet Krishna went and did he, the bow expression and the aprakat and prakat.
You're going there again, huh?
Just in a level where we can understand to a level that we can explain it to others.
There's at least two, and probably more than two issues. One of those two issues is some authorities, not just ISKCON people, personalities, view this and emphasize this, and some emphasize that. And then, as a viewer of the tournament, how do you sort them? How do you sort that out? That's one topic. And one there's different responses to that topic. One is diversity is fine. Seeing the same thing from a different angle, but it's the same thing. And therefore emphasizing this and another emphasizing that, and then having the acumen to be able to discern. The difference is looking at the same thing from a different lens or different perspective. And that doesn't mean if this is right, then that's wrong. If that's wrong, then this is right. And it doesn't necessarily mean, it could mean, but it doesn't necessarily mean deselecting something and preferring another something instead of that one you deselected. Being able to hold in one's consciousness something that's not binary. It's neither a 1 or a 0, and then if it's a 1, it's not a 0. So in transcendental reality, there can be different perspectives of the same thing, and it's just fine. Rather than the tournament or the arm wrestling match. And
what is our Vaishnava perspective of how we see this?
I'm presenting it. There's diversity, and that's just fine. It takes, using a phrase that Prabhupada used, it takes a transcendental brain, or it takes a little intelligence. I could give some examples of Prabhupada answering like that, but the discerning capacity can be refined and refined and refined and refined. So our Vaishnava understanding, which is your point that you're raising, is diversity is just fine. And it's not that if this is right, then that's got to be wrong, or is diminished because it's not this, it's not this, so it's not, doesn't carry as much weight. Now, that invites further. Well, do some things have more weight than another thing? And it gets into those evaluations, like how do we weigh? Sukadeva Goswami says, and Jiva Goswami, and Rupa Goswami says, and which has greater weight? Put that on a pan scale, and how do we as Vaishnavas look at those situations, which seems to be what your question is, or part of what your question is. And my response, at least, there's probably more than one, diversity is just fine. It's not a problem. It can be a problem if you're binary. processor of the mind has got to be this or that, but it doesn't have to be a this or that and still be okay. In an authoritative descending fashion. Now, so then ultimately, there's Shastra rules. Guru and Sadhu, okay, and Shastra is the final. Then comes some other questions for a Vaishnava. Here's one. I shared this with, I think I may have also shared it with you, but I know I shared it with Hari Parshad Prabhu. For the past, this Devamrita Swami, do you know who he is? No. He's a GBC for here. And so he's a Yale University graduate and did this and that and the other thing, and he's an elevated Vaishnav. He shared with me for the past 5 years, he's been working on getting a definitive BBT publication of something like 10 different commentaries on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And it's been uphill. Because which translations of this acharya, that acharya, the other, the all 10, whose translation is one going to accept? Speaking of how do Vaishnavas view these things, depends on which Vaishnava you ask. And something gets elevated and something gets discounted. And BBT is going to have the label on it, the publisher. So it's got a lot of review process. And, and at the end when it's all done, are all Sanskrit scholars going to agree? Some people are going to like it. Most people are going to like it. Some people are going to say, yeah, but... So, your question is, how are we as Vaishnavas to view these things? There's another question. In 50 to 100 years, what's ISKCON going to be like?
Ruling the world.
So, fidelity to the sound vibration is imperative. So we have our founder Acharya, because that's ISKCON. And then this gets into a very delicate topic, like 10 different commentaries on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, for example. And that's contemporary. Now that's not necessarily your main topic, your main question, but it's the fundamental part of two things that you asked. And I've been speaking about one of them so much I even forgot what the first one was. The prakat and aprakat topic. You touched on it at least. And I was very satisfied, maybe others weren't, but I was very satisfied with he said it 3 times, precise response that Hari Parshad gave. What does abhava expansion mean? What does it look like? As distinct from the other kind of manifestation. You keep moving your head right behind you. And I'm trying to keep eye contact with the person who asked the question. Could you just... Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you. Eye contact with the person asking. No, just wait. So the prakat and aprakat, are you fine as I am fine with what the response he gave to that?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay.
Should I give the response again?
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So, the first ever Hindi translation of Lagu Bhagavatamritam was done in the previous century. And it was done by a very devout Vaishnav from the Sri Sampradaya. He did it along with the commentary of Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan. So, first thing we have to understand is there's something which Prabhupada teaches in this regard. And that too about the previous acharyas. Srila Prabhupada says this thing. Prabhu, you have the mic in your hand and you read this, the highlighted part.
As for your question about Shantaras and the opinions of Rupa Goswami and Sridhar Swami, I don't remember. You can send me the appropriate passages. There is no reason why acharyas cannot differ on certain points.
So this is the first thing that Srila Prabhupada teaches us, that there are some points on which the acharyas will have a difference of opinion. Now we have to understand that Srila Sridhar Swami and Srila Rupa Goswami are going to have a difference of opinion about whether Krishna returned or not. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, there is one Krishna who took birth in Mathura, who came to Vrindavan, again left Vrindavan to go to Mathura and went to Dwarka and did not return. According to Sri Rupa Goswami, there are two things going on simultaneously. One is Prakat Leela, one is Aprakat Leela. Now Sridhar Swami is worshipable for us, we can't discard him. Sri Rupa Goswami is worshipable for us, we can't discard him. So what to do in this regard? So Sri Rupa Goswami has a verse in the Lagu Bhagavatamrit itself. I'll pull out the verse and I'll show that verse so that we understand how Sri Rupa Goswami would deal with it. So Sri Rupa Goswami says in the Lagu Bhagavatamritam, devotees can sing, Virodho vakyayor yatra na pramanyam tadishyate yatha viruddhata cha syat tathartha kalpyate tayo. Virodho. Prabhu, you know what is the meaning of virodha? What is the meaning of virodha?
To go against.
Difference of opinion. Virod. Wherever there is a difference, vakya, in the statements of two acharyas, na apramanyam tad ishyate. One of them should not be rejected. Because rejecting one acharya is like rejecting the entire parampara. Yatha aviruddhata cha syat. If there is any possibility to harmonize both of them, tatha arthaha kalpyate tayo. That meaning should be taken. This is Sri Rupa Goswami's own verse in the Lagu Bhagavatamritam, because he knows there are bound to be differences between what he is going to say and what Srila Sridhar Swami is going to say. So I was referring to this commentary on this translation of Lagu Bhagavatamritam, and I'll pull out the Hindi. This is the Hindi conclusion given by the commentator. Alright, Prabhu. So the font is a little small. I will read in Hindi, then I will explain in English. He says, इन पुराने भागवत गणों के मत में ग्रंथकार की सम्मति नहीं है. The old Bhagavatas, the old devotees like Sridhar Swami will not agree to Sri Rupa Goswami. I hope you are able to understand. Because according to Sridhar Swami, how many Krishna? The old commentators will not agree to what the author of, this is a translation of Lagu Bhagavatamritam, of what the author is saying. क्योंकि रीजन इज कि गोपियों को समझाने बुझाने के लिए उद्धव को भेजना, व्रजवासियों का कुरुक्षेत्र में जाना. इफ कृष्णा रिटर्न्ड बैक, then there was no point of sending Uddhav. There was no point of meeting in Kurukshetra because Krishna had already come back. So then he analyzes the entire subject matter. So he says, अतएव, conclusion he's saying, अप्रकट प्रकाश में श्री कृष्ण वृंदावन को न छोड़कर सदैव ही व्रज में विहार करते हैं. In अप्रकट प्रकाश, भगवान never leaves वृंदावन and always stays in व्रज. प्रकट प्रकाश में व्रज से पुरी में जाया करते हैं. And in प्रकट प्रकाश he goes to मथुरा, from मथुरा to द्वारका. So this is the conclusion that I always speak. He says, इस पर के सिद्धांत में किसी ग्रंथ की असंगति नहीं होती. By this siddhanta, no conflict will arise with any literature. That in Aprakat Prakash, Bhagwan always stayed back. In Prakat Prakash, he went to Mathura. From Mathura, he went to Dwarka. And then the meeting was held after many decades in Kurukshetra. After reading this, I started speaking in the Kathas that Bhagwan never returned. But that is related to Prakat Prakash. So what Maharaj was speaking yesterday is about the Bhav Prakash. That Bhav Prakash is basically a mental image which doesn't manifest in Prakat Prakash. But very clear understanding which he says after studying the entire subject matter. What will harmonize all the conclusions is that you keep two compartments in your mind. In Aprakat, does Bhagwan ever leave? No. In Prakat, Bhagwan leaves to Mathura and then goes to Dwarka. But he just, after 3 months, he just briefly touches so that for the sake of formality, he can say, I fulfilled my promise. So I hope that makes sense. This is one opinion. You may agree or disagree. That's up to you. The translator is a very wonderful genius. He has studied the commentaries and he has done it. But simple conclusion which I like to give, my personal, is to align with this. That to say that in Aprakat, Bhagwan never leaves. In Prakat, he leaves for Mathura and Dwarka. So then that nourishment of ras also happens. You have simultaneous separation and union. You select which ras you want to nourish and everybody can live happily ever after.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So that does explain and summarizes where we are now able to explain this to others as well. Thank you. Thank you, panel.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji in the back, and then you're next.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Hari Parshad Prabhu. Prabhu, my question is from your first lecture, where you showed a picture and you mentioned that Krishna manifested and Mother Yashoda was sleeping and then he cried and he said Om. So I have heard that before, that Jiva Goswami said that Mother Yashoda is the real mother of Krishna because the umbilical cord was cut, and we have many times heard from Srimad Bhagavatam that due to the stress of labor she was sleeping, so she didn't know that. But you mentioned that Krishna manifested and you didn't mention anything about that. So I would like to confirm that the understanding which I am carrying with me, that the umbilical cord was cut, is that correct understanding?
Yeah, that is correct understanding. But Bhagwan did not physically come out of the womb of Yashoda. He manifested it, just as in the case of Devaki and Vasudeva. Did Bhagwan come out of the womb of Devaki with his weapons? And that is not going to happen. Similarly, here also Bhagwan manifested, but it is Nar Leela. So he showed that his umbilical cord is connected to Mother Yashoda, nothing else. There was no prasuti, prasuti, actual pain of giving birth to a child. Yashoda was tired, but there is no mention that she underwent birth pain. There's no mention. She was sleeping, the baby manifested, and he gave the impression that, because if he doesn't give that umbilical cord, people will doubt whose child he is. So he has to give that in order to make them believe that it was Yashoda's child. So for that reason. Otherwise, there was no prasuti, the birth of pushing the child out of the womb. That did not happen.
Okay, thank you very much.
But if
Thank
Maharaj wants to add anything, he can add.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, all of you, for being here and for speaking. It's been very nice to hear from everyone. I was wondering, recently, or in the previous classes, we were speaking about the glories of Akura and his saintly characteristics. And I was wondering about the Shyamataka pastime in Krishna book. It seems like Akura kind of gets himself into some sticky...
It seems that Akura had what?
He kind of gets himself into like a
Fix.
sticky situation.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering if we could explain a little bit more about how that happened. I heard that it was because he got cursed by the gopis for taking Krishna out of Vrindavan,
that
but I want to
too.
know if that's accurate.
I heard that too. I was, in preparation for all of this, I was searching. Maybe my friend next to me will be able to find it immediately, but I couldn't find it. The curse.
I'll try my best.
I'm sure you'll find
Yeah.
it. It may be narrated in the Shamataka jewel section that this happened because of their curse, but I didn't find it. But have you found it?
I'm trying to find.
Okay. So no. There's someone waiting up front. Could you pass the micro? He'll find it and he'll respond when he finds it. You got the microphone. Go for it.
Thank you so much.
And it's we have 2 minutes.
Okay. Question is, Hari Parshad Prabhu, in your lecture, today's lecture, you described how an unborn baby is in brahmacharya. Also, the unborn baby is in the smaranam of Krishna. Could you explain sort of the tattva behind this? What level of smaranam? Why the modes of nature are not acting upon this unborn baby, but once baby comes out, then there's a difference. And
I think that is mentioned in the 3rd canto of the Bhagavatam very clearly, that the baby inside the womb, the child inside the womb upside down, starts praying that in previous lives I did not remember you, and I spent my life uselessly. I promise you this time I will remember you. And then it says that when the air pushes out the baby, and then when the baby comes out, it is immediately covered again by Maya. So it's in the maybe His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj can elaborate more on that.
We're going to end as soon as he finds this reference that because of time. You want to add
So you
something?
can just pray to Krishna that he can't find it.
Well, do we have a solution for that one? Pull the plug.
So yeah, any last question to both Maharajas? Till that time I'll look up.
Way in the back.
Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj. Actually, I have a question for Hari Prasad Prabhu. You mentioned yesterday that, I think it was Rupa Goswami who says that there are demons in Goloka Vrindavan, but they are mechanical.
Yes, Sri Jiv Goswami in Bhakti Sandarbha.
Jeep, okay, thank you. But what I have read is that everything in Goloka Vrindavan is alive. So how is there a mechanical representation of the demons that were there in Gokul, in Goloka?
So the mechanical replicas also behave like alive. They're not dead, and they don't undergo material emotions. There is a place for everything in the spiritual world. They are mechanical replicas created by Yoga Maya. So Yoga Maya sometimes creates a certain mechanical is a very material term. So mechanical is perhaps not the best term, but the term used was yantra. Now yantra translates to mechanical. That's the best translation we have. But yantra is an instrumental. So the Yogamaya can have those equipments. So it's as an equipment of Yogamaya, demons exist in the spiritual world. Right? As a prop. We call it a prop of Yogamaya. As a prop of Yogamaya, demons exist in the spiritual world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The B.R. Sridhar Maharaj said that in the spiritual world there are demons, but they're like posters. Yeah, like posters, like hoardings. Aghasur, but it's a poster.
Okay. So I think it's in the pastime where Akrura takes him away from Vrindavan, and this was 39, 40, 41. I think we have exceeded our time limit, but I don't want to. Yes. Sridhar Swami in 1039-26. Akruram Shapantya Ahu. Anybody knows what is Shapa? While speaking a curse to Akrura, they said. So this is where it begins, where Akrura's is, Akrura will be cursed. So I think this is the one place which the Goswamis are mentioning about Akrura's sharp or Akrura's curse. So I will still try to find another reference. This is one reference, but there are more references related to Akrura. But one reference, if you want to find, that reference is this is 1039-26.
How about this? So we can keep our schedule.
Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Maharaj. I'm sorry. Can I?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
one last time.
I was just going to say, you know, on your way back to wherever you came from and going back to, send us something the next, 48 hours that you came up with this reference, that reference, and give him to Parama Karuna, and he'll make sure we get a copy.
Here is the reference. Okay. This is on Srimad Bhagavatam 1039-32. Please note the reference 1039-32. It's Sri Sanatan Goswami's Brihad Vaishnava Toshani. अतएव भाव विशेष पराः श्री वैष्णवाः केचिद् एतद् अपराध फलम् अक्रूरस्य अग्रे वक्ष्यमाणस्य मन्तक प्रसंगे मन्यन्त इति. So in Brihad Vaishnava Toshani they say अतएव भाव विशेष पर, those Vaishnavas who are very bhavuk, very rasikas, Shri Vaishnava Kechid, some Shri Vaishnavas, they say aparadha phalam, the result of this aparadh towards the Vrajavasis, Akrurasya agre vakshamana, ahead in Akrura's life, Syamantaka prasange manyante, they consider that ahead in Akrura's life, in the case of Syamantak Mani, the result of the curse was seen. This is the exact phrase by Sri Sanatan Goswami in Brihad Vaishnava Toshani. Did we get the number? 1039-32. Okay, so this is 1039-32. In the Brihad Vaishnava Toshani of Sri Sanatan Goswami, and numbering sometime is different. So the verse is Trinam evam rudanti nam. It begins with Trinam. So that verse is the verse which has Sri Sanatan Goswami's Brihad Vaishnava Toshani, where he says it was a result of the curse of the Brajavasis that he got implicated in Syamantak pastime. Oh, I'm so happy.
We're happy that you're happy. So it's time to end, and there's time for lunch, right? You just had a late breakfast. What's next on the schedule? What?
2 go boxes for
2
lunch.
go boxes for lunch. We'll see you all next year. No rain. We'll see if they put in a request for Indra that no rain next year. Nice turnout of all the devotees from so many faraway places. Some are still here. I don't know how you're going to make your way back, but good luck. Srila Prabhupada ki. Shri Sri Radha Damodar ki. Gaur Premanandi.
Jai. Jai ho. Srila Prabhupada